Today, I'm going to show you what's in my gig bag as a bass player and music director. I was preparing for some shows a couple weeks ago, one with Kids Losing Sleep in Halifax and another one with T. Thomason in Austin, Texas for South by Southwest. For the Kids Losing Sleep show, I was just playing bass, but with T. Thomason, I was doing bass, keys, and playback. Everything's a little bit of a mess right now, but, oh, dog. I just finished pulling everything out, testing the whole playback rig, making sure that's good to go. My keyboard plugged in and everything was all working perfectly fine. So now I'm gonna pack up, get ready for rehearsal, and when I pack, I'm gonna try and make sure that it's as condensed as possible, just like it's gonna be when I take it to Texas. There are many pieces to this puzzle that make up the kind of gear that I need for these shows, starting off with my playback rig. For those who are unfamiliar with this, it's essentially an audio interface that allows me to play backing tracks during our live show off of my laptop. The most important piece of this for me is the case, especially for fly gigs, because this is what keeps everything safe. I'm using the shallow version of the SKB I-Series 2U carry-on fly rack case. This case was actually impossible to find in Canada, so I had the folks over at Sweetwater ship one up to me from the US. Shout out to Ian for helping me get that order through. This case is approved as carry-on size. Without my playback rig, our show can't go on, so I have to make sure that this is able to fit on a plane every single time. This case is waterproof and super sturdy. Inside of it is the included 2U rack shelf. The main piece of gear in this is my Focusrite Scarlett 18i20. Got this for an amazing deal on McQuaid a couple years ago, and I've been using it ever since. Eventually, I plan on upgrading to the iConnectivity Play Audio 12 as it allows for redundancy and is a more fail-safe option, and it takes up a lot less space. On top of the Focusrite is a Furman power conditioner. This allows me not only to plug everything in that I need for my rig, but also ensures that I have clean and safe power. In the back here, I shoved a CalDigit TS3 Plus, which provides power and connects everything to my laptop using just one cable. Underneath the rack, I try to keep as much as I can that is needed for the show. The main thing being my 8-channel TRS to XLR loom. This one is by Yorkville and is color-coded using the resistor code, so it's super easy to understand which channel's which. I also put numbers on it though, just in case. I also carry a couple of 5-DIN MIDI cables and some 5-DIN to XLR cables to connect our pedal boards to the interface as we run all of our patch changes through MIDI in our Ableton session. There are 2 USB-C Thunderbolt 3 cables in here. One goes from the CalDigit to the computer and the other goes from the CalDigit to the interface. Everything else that I keep in here is exclusively for backup. I have a backup pair of IEMs. These are my old Shure SE215s in case something happens to my JH Audio ones. If you haven't watched my video of me unboxing and testing those IEMs out, I'll put a link in the top right corner so you can open up the tab and maybe watch it later if you feel like it. Another piece of gear that I carry for backup is a Y cable that is 3.5 millimeters on one end and then left and right 1/4 inch on the other end. This is just in case something happens with my audio interface and I need another way to play playback. The last piece of gear in here isn't always for backup. Sometimes we just use it because it's really easy to use, but it's the Behringer P2 headphone amp. You just plug in your IEMs into this and grab an XLR or line feed from monitors and you're good to go.
Yeah, oh yeah! Oh! I mean, yeah, that's probably fine. Yeah, check. Chocolate rain.
Oh my gosh, that show with KLS was so much fun. Thanks again to the boys for inviting me out. I had so much fun playing with them. Their songs are super great. Make sure to check them out if you haven't already. I'll put some of their links down below, but I realized I forgot to show you guys what gear I was using on that gig. So let's look at it. The next thing is my bass. Now this setup will kind of depend on what the gig is. Since I had two pretty different gigs in a very short amount of time, I decided to use two different basses. For the Kids Losing Sleep show, I really didn't need a whole lot. They do play a half step down, so that was one of the main reasons why I decided to use a different bass. For their show, I decided to use my 2008 Fender Highway 1 jazz bass. I've had this bass for around 10 years now, and it was my favorite bass up until I got my P bass. So it was nice to pick it up again. Oh, it also has this really cool Spider-Man strap on it, which I normally don't bring out for shows. I kept the jazz bass safe and sound in the best case you can get, the Mono M80 bass case. This case provides incredible protection for my bass and has even flown across the world with me. In the front pocket, I carry any cables I need, which for this, it was just 2 1/4-inch cables. In the top, I usually keep an extra tuner, a pencil, some tea, a snack, and some Allen keys in case I need to adjust anything on my bass. Oh, usually I'll keep some custom fit earplugs in here too, just because, you know, your hearing will never come back if you lose it, so I like to play it safe at shows. One of the best things about this case is being able to attach my pedal board to the front. I'm still using the Mono light board in the TIC 2.0 case, which is the only one that will fit on here. I made a separate video about this too, actually, so if you want to watch that later, again, it's in the top right. Open the tab, you can watch it later, if you feel like it. My board was pretty simple. The Kids Losing Sleep show, I only had 2 different tones, so I made one patch and used 2 different snapshots to essentially just be a clean and a dirty sound. That was it. Didn't use any MIDI or wireless or anything, just kept it super simple. As much as I love having everything automated and wireless and stuff, it's nice to strip things back every once in a while and just focus on playing. For the show with T in Texas, we decided to check my bass. If you're gonna do this, I highly recommend getting a hard-shelled case that is super solid that you can trust your instrument to be in. Even then, it's gonna be a huge risk when putting it under a plane. Thankfully, I have this molded SKB Fender case that was for my jazz bass, but it also fits my P bass. The fact that it's a molded case is super important because there's no room for my bass to move around in there. I was also able to fit this compact Hercules guitar stand and an extra cable. I've got another rehearsal with T tonight, and our flight is really early tomorrow morning, so I have to make sure that I'm all packed before tonight. My suitcase is like mostly packed. There's a couple things that I'm waiting for, like my toothbrush and anything else that I'm gonna need tonight, but I've picked out all my clothes and packed most of it as much as I can. I know it looks a little chaotic. I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna fit these shoes in. And I have like my tripod in there and everything, so there's a lot of stuff to bring, even for, 6 days. Also went and grabbed a couple more air tags. This one is, I think I'm gonna put it in my keyboard case, and I have one that I put in my bass case because it's getting checked. And then my backpack is gonna be a whole other beast. I think my backpack is probably the most impressive. Somehow I can fit everything I need in here and still be able to fit it under the seat of an airplane. The bag I use is a classic Herschel Little America, which honestly doesn't have a lot of fancy features, and I kind of like it that way. The brains of my whole operation is a 2021 13-inch M1 MacBook Pro. This is my everyday computer, and it does the trick for both video editing, music production, and playback. I keep my MacBook charger and a few other accessories in this little tech bag that I think I found at the dollar store or something. It also carries an external hard drive, USB-C dongle, phone charger, camera battery charger, SIM card slot opener thing, and 3 different cables. USB-C for my Switch, iPad, and laptop, a Lightning for my phone and AirPods, and my Apple Watch charger. I also carry my Nintendo Switch with me on every trip I go on. When I bought it, it came with this case that has space for some games and keeps it pretty protected. Right now, I'm playing through Breath of the Wild. Gotta prep for Tears of the Kingdom, I either keep my AirPod Pros in a side pocket in the backpack or in my sling bag that also holds my wallet, keys, and passport when I'm traveling. Kinda sits at the top of the bag so that I have easy access to it, and I can wear it around the airport when I feel like it. There are a couple other things for the show that I shove in my backpack. First off being my vocal mic, which is a Shure SM58 Beta. I have my JH Audio IEMs, and the last thing is my pedal board. Because I'm not bringing my mono bass case for this show, I needed somewhere to put this because I can't check it, it's too delicate for that. So somehow I managed to fit this and everything else in my backpack. It definitely made my bag really heavy because it's just, a case with a bunch of metal and electronics in it. But you know what? Gotta do what you gotta do. Another day, another rehearsal. This is kind of our rehearsal setup. This is my new keyboard. I got a new MIDI keyboard. Usually I rock the Arturia Keylab Mark II, but I recently got the Essentials because it's way lighter to carry on a plane. Here's the pedal board, playback rig, bass, you know, all the good stuff.
Pleasure for the sake of pleasure, sundress, weather, sunset, kiss. Pleasure for the sake of pleasure, nectar, nectar on her lips.
Yeah, so I bought a new keyboard, and it really isn't that much different from my other one. The main thing though is that it weighs half as much, which makes it so much easier to carry on a plane and around airports. The Keylab Mark II hasn't left. It's my studio keyboard now because the aluminum and wood just made it really heavy. Thankfully, my keyboard rig is pretty simple now. I carry my new Arturia Keylab 61 Essential in the Mono 61 keyboard case. And the front pocket holds my travel sustain pedal, USB cable, extra 1/4-inch cables for my bass, and an extra XLR cable. Try saying that 10 times fast. Extra XLR, extra XLR, extra XLR. Honestly, at this point, I think the cables weigh more than the keyboard. All right, all my stuff ready to go. Bye, bass. Here it is! Hell yeah! PK!
Thank you.
I know this was a lot, but I hope you learned something about all the pieces that are needed as someone in my role as a bass player, music director, and touring musician. Now, what was one thing you didn't think was going to be on this list?